Women have traditionally given birth at home. You all know this. They've given birth at home, tended to by women who know them. So this has been the relationship of birth over millennia, over thousands of years. It's served us well. Women giving birth actively in upright positions, tended to by people who know, love, and trust them. That's how the human race has survived extremely well. Things have changed. So it was very normal, even 100 years ago in the UK, it was still quite normal for women to give birth at home, tended to by a midwife who they knew because a midwife lived in the community with them. And I think things have changed in the UK more rapidly and more quickly than perhaps in the Netherlands, but I know that things are happening in the Netherlands as well. So there has been a move towards birth in the hospital. So here you can see some figures. This is just a graphic representation. So in 1960, so not that long ago, I was alive then, 34% of babies were born at home in the UK, and now it's fewer than 5%. And you can see that figure hasn't really changed since 1975. There was a big change around about 1975. And that figure hasn't changed. And truthfully, I don't think that figure is going to change very much. We could talk a lot about why not, but I don't think that is going to change. Now, my job, I've changed jobs a few times, but I worked for 3 years on a piece of research called the Birthplace Study, who quite a few of you might have heard of. This was a big piece of research comparing the safety of birth in 4 settings. So we were comparing outcomes for women and babies born at home, born in a midwifery unit away from the hospital, born in a midwifery unit in the hospital, and born in hospital. And a lot has been talked about Birthplace Study. I was very proud and privileged to be part of that piece of research. What I've put up here is a slide that people don't talk as much about. So people talk about the outcomes for the babies, and Birthplace essentially showed that outcomes are very good for women and babies in all 4 birth settings. But we also measured what normal birth in the 4 birth settings. And by normal birth, we mean spontaneous vaginal birth without the use of oxytocin, so labour wasn't sped up, without the use of episiotomy, without forceps, instrumental birth, cesarean, whatever. And this is for women who are low risk, so women with no identified risk factors. And we looked at the data. We used that phrase you probably know, intention to treat. So the results here, if a woman started labour at home and ended up having a cesarean section, she's still in the home birth group, okay? So here, percentage, you can see the difference in the normal birth rates. So a low-risk, healthy woman who planned to give birth in an obstetric unit, so in a hospital labour ward, had less than 60% chance of having a normal birth, compared to a woman who was planning a home birth who had almost an 88% chance of having a normal birth. I think that's a very, very shocking slide. Okay. So what can we do about it? What can those of us, because I now work in a hospital setting, what can those of us who work in hospitals learn about what's going right everywhere else? What's going right at home? What's going right in midwifery units that we can learn and take into the hospital setting? Is it just the physical surroundings? Is it the people who care for them? And this fits, I think, with what Saraswati was talking about earlier. It's about us. We all know that birth can be this good. Birth can have that, women can have this experience. I want every woman to have some experience like that. Even if she has a cesarean section that's appropriate for her, I want her to know she's done something wonderful and amazing. I want her to know she's done something wonderful and amazing is she gives birth to her first baby in a birth pool. Our job as midwives is to support all women, to give them the care that's right for them, to make sure that they are cared for by the people who matter for them, that the care we give is sensitive to them, whatever their background, whatever their culture. So we need to take this into hospital so that women have these birth experiences. There's a great poem by an American woman, Suzanne Arms, who some of you might well know of. And she says, if we hope to create a non-violent world where respect and kindness replace fear and hatred, we must begin with how we treat each other at the beginning of life. For that is where our deepest patterns are set. From these roots grow fear and alienation, or love and trust. Our job as midwives is to sow the seeds of love and trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.